see, this is my life. It always will be. There's nothing else. Just us. And the cameras. And those wonderful people out there in the dark.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Out There in the Dark. My name is Tom Alexander. And with me, as always, is my friend and colleague and human coffee table, Azed Majid.
Really? Yeah,
that's
right.
That?
You put the you put. I'm used for Tom's parties when he needs a buffet table, and he puts me on the table naked, and then
and we eat sushi off of him.
Yeah, he eats sushi off just around my pubic area, though.
It's terrific
because it smells like sushi most of the time anyway.
Okay, all right, fantastic. You know, guys, it's been a while. You know, I don't think we've recorded an episode since last year, so we're a little.
Happy New Year, by the way.
Excited. Yeah, Happy New Year, man.
Yeah. It's been a great start to the year.
2026.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah. No, we'd all meant to record earlier, but I was sick over the holidays, and then I think you were sick for a week or so in January, and life gets busy, and but finally here we are.
Yeah.
We're recording on February 8th, 2026, and it's really fucking cold outside, and Yeah,
that's about it. Goodbye.
End of episode.
Yeah, it's been very fucking cold here in Toronto. I mean, we were just saying this, like minus 20, minus 30 degrees, every day for the past week or so. That on top of all the political garbage that's happening. It's like, it's hard to stay, I think we've moved into a new kind of depression. It's sort of like, oh yeah, well, I'm depressed. That's just the way it is.
It's almost as if we're living in that movie, The Thing, with Kurt Russell.
Oh.
Where it's so ice cold in the freezing Arctic.
It is. Also, I've been growing some tentacles out of my head.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't going to say anything, but
right.
I did notice.
People think they're
sexy. But on that note,
they're cornrows.
You just got back from Bermuda.
Exactly.
But today, folks, we're going to do a very special episode about one of my favorite independent filmmakers of all time.
Yeah, don't speak for me, Tom.
I won't.
Okay.
I won't.
That's
your job.
Ever speak for me again?
We're going to talk about John Carpenter.
Yes,
great American filmmaker.
Now, do you think there may be people out there who don't quite understand who John Carpenter is? So go through a little bit of a bio, I guess. I mean, there's not much of a bio, but just like his career basically starts in like 1974.
Yeah.
Right? So he's kind of a contemporary of what they consider, or what's been called, the golden age of American cinema, which is, Scorsese, Coppola, Spielberg, Lucas, all those, big shot.
De
Palma, yeah. But he's different from those guys, right? He never was sort of part of that pack. He comes a tiny bit after them, but out of all of those guys, I find him to be more sort of in line with B film, exploitation film, very much like blaxploitation influenced, very Larry Cohen influenced.
That's true.
Very Roger Corman. He's really kind of, the guy who, and I think a lot of people understand those genres and how political they were. The fact that they were so marginalized, Midnight Madness, the whole thing. Like there was a lot of hidden political radicalism in a lot of these blaxploitation films and exploitation films from the 70s, the grindhouse stuff. And I think that's what Carpenter is kind of like picking up on with his work. And that kind of defines his work, even in his big blockbuster, sort of studio films. He still maintains that kind of grindhouse,
very anti-establishment, very kind of quite left-leaning.
Very left-leaning, I would say.
Very anti-consumerist, anti-capitalist.
Yeah. But also just very, very much using the tropes of, sort of a kitschy, amateur style almost, right? And I think that's kind of the punky kind of aspect of his work. It's like he's not interested in making a big glossy Oppenheimer style movie or something, he's not interested in that at all, right? He's really interested in he's a genre director, and he's been very much compared to Howard Hawks.
Well, I was going to say he's a genre director, but he comes out of a tradition of classical Hollywood filmmaking in that way. And I think when you watch, even from his earlier films, there is a very, that Hawksian kind of efficiency and like economy of filmmaking style and storytelling that that comes right out of like classic 1950s Hollywood filmmaking.
Yeah, and I think his characters are also very Hawksian in the sense that they kind of inhabit a kind of in between space in a sense, like they're not they're rebellious figures, but rebellious in a way that is skeptical or just cynical.
The anti-hero.
Yeah, the anti-hero, right? Like, you can imagine, like, the same thing you can say a lot about Hawks' movies, like his work with, in his screwball comedies, like his gender play is so ahead of its time, right? In that the way men and women talk to each other.
Male camaraderie is very
male camaraderie, but also the way men and I've never seen a Howard Hawks movie where the female characters are lesser than.
Exactly.
They have their own sort of codes, I guess, but he's very good at infiltrating those codes, right? And how they don't really work. That they're constructions, right? You could say that about a movie like Bringing Up Baby, for example, or Monkey Business or something, right? Like, but even his serious movies. Anyway, so because the one movie that Robin Wood said was the greatest movie ever made was Rio Bravo. Robin Wood being one of the greatest critics of all time, and Rio Bravo is a great film, and one of his Carpenter's first movies, not his first, but his second, I think, movie was called Assault on Precinct 13, which is pretty much, recognized as a remake of sorts.
Of sorts. Yeah. I would argue, first of all, let me say Rio Bravo is my favorite Western film of all time, 100%. It didn't used to be, but it certainly, the more I watch it, the more I love it. And Assault on Precinct 13 is almost like a remake of the second half of Rio Bravo to me. But the movie that Assault reminds me the most of is Night of the Living Dead.
It does have a lot of
Night of the Living Dead. Which is very much just, if you've seen Assault on Precinct 13, it's basically a relatively new police officer to the area is helping close down an abandoned police precinct in South Central LA.
Right.
And but there's a child murder nearby, and then when the father escapes from killing off one of the gangsters, he holds up in the precinct, and then all these gang members from all over the area converge upon it, and basically it's a siege, and it's awesome. I hadn't seen it before a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
And I loved it. It's one of my favorite John Carpenter films.
It is a really strong movie because it's like, well, we could get into it. The best way to go through this is maybe to just list off the movie. Like, I haven't seen every John Carpenter movie, but maybe we should just go through them. I mean, we can talk a little bit about his overall, the patterns we see in his work, right? Like, the thing about Carpenter is that he's extremely anti-authoritarian in his philosophy. So every movie of his is going to deal with a character or set of characters who are basically trying to challenge authority, right? Now, this is deeper than just like who's in charge, because oftentimes, like for example, in something like Assault on Precinct 13, the gang members, so-called gang members outside the precinct, seem kind of supernatural almost.
Yeah.
Right? They seem to kind of like appear out of nowhere, and they're never quite named. They're never quite seen properly. They're kind of like these, it's sort of like the forces of what's challenging you or threatening your life and keeping you hostage are not clear, right? They're not. They're these forces of rebellion that sort of are trying to do something, but the law itself is very ill-equipped to deal with things, right? And so it's a real critique of law.
Yeah,
right?
it's like these thugs don't even care about their own safety and well-being. They're just attacking the place, and the police officer. So he's holed up there with all these other staff members. There's a couple of women there, one of whom is very much a Lauren Bacall to have and have not kind of figure.
Right.
And then a busload of prisoners comes in, and then they join forces with the cops to fight off the thugs, who are just coming in through the windows and coming in through the doors and getting shot and killed, and they just keep coming and coming and coming.
Yeah, it's like relentless.
They're like zombies. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's but it's just great to see these. There's one particular prisoner who keeps asking, "Hey, bud, do you have a smoke?"
Yeah.
And he's very much a Rio Bravo type, John Wayne Hawksian kind of character.
Yeah.
And he's got this great rapport with the main police officer character. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and of course the main police officer character being black, right? So, like, the new so that's also very Night of the Living Dead, but this sort of anti-hero character, right? Where again, like the law, where does the law stand, and what is the law, and how can you affect the law when there's forces outside of the law, right? What determines the law? And that's a theme that I think runs throughout all of his films to a certain extent, right? Mm-hmm. So having said that, let's go through some of his movies. We talked a little bit about Assault on Precinct 13. I think it's something definitely people should watch. Do you have anything more to say about that one?
Not too much, except going back to the blaxploitation themes, it definitely has, probably more than any other Carpenter film, has that feel. And that he made it for $100,000.
Yeah,
is unbelievable.
He dropped out of school to make.
He dropped out of school to make Dark Star, his first film,
right?
Which had a budget of $60,000,
right?
And that was a science fiction, cheapo science fiction movie. That's a lot of fun. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but it used to be on TV a lot, and I loved it. But you rewatched it.
I did watch Dark Star, and I really liked Dark Star.
It's fun.
It's very. This is the other thing about Carpenter. He has a real experimental streak in him, right? Like all of the effects in Dark Star, which are funny but also very, very artistic. Like, I like the way his cheesy, toastery effects, kind of work in that. And it's also very non-linear as a story. You know what I mean? Like it feels a little new agey influence to me in the way it's put together. And also the way it kind of diminishes the Star Wars kind of, like the big action adventure.
Yeah. Well, that was pre-Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying that whole idea of, the space race and the concept of Brave New Worlds and whatever, and his thing is this is just a job like any other
I remember
job.
on TV it was on a lot along with Silent Running with Bruce Dern.
Yeah. And
they have a lot in common. I remember as a kid thinking they had this sort of peaceful kind of, I don't know, almost whimsical kind of tone, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm going by my 5-year-old memory.
I think you're right. I haven't seen Silent Running for 40 years.
Me neither.
But I think you're right. There was that Logan's Run might be another one that's sort of similar, but this one's better because I mean it's not a great movie. It does have a student film feel to it, but I still loved it. It had, there's certain kinds of amateurish work that you could still see the art in it.
Oh yeah.
And obviously, it seems like a bit of a Marxist critique of, sort of the concept of alienated labor. The crew is so removed from their purpose of their work. They're sort of destroying unstable, whatever.
It's a big influence on Alien.
Yeah, because of the way the crew is, right? They're very laborers. They're just like workers.
Yeah, and Dan O'Bannon was, co-wrote Dark Star and co-wrote Alien.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that they just sort of descend into nihilism, right?
And nihilism is a great theme that also runs through Carpenter's
work. It does. So there's that, and then I don't want to go into the whole plot, but it's sort of it sort of sets out the kind of parameters of what's going to come later in his work and other people's work about this kind of concept of identity, politics, and symbolic logic and all that kind of stuff, because there's this kind of the whole concept in it is they have the phenomenological bomb in that movie,
right?
it's basically like the ego is sort of forced to justify its own existence, right? The result is.
I might have missed that part when I was 5 years old.
Well, yeah. And but its ending is very nihilistic, right?
I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to rewatch it, but
it basically ends with total annihilation.
But yeah, so that led to Assault on Precinct 13, also like super independent, but got a bit more of a theatrical release, I suppose, and.
Yeah, I think it was considered like it was well reviewed at the time and stuff, right?
Yeah, and he worked in TV too. Like did you ever see The Eyes of Laura Mars?
Yeah,
he wrote that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yes, right.
Yeah. So that's an interesting movie. That one didn't work.
It didn't quite work, but it was. I remember.
I know people who love that movie.
Yeah, some of it's pretty. Some of it's indelible. I only saw it once when I was a kid, and I still remember when the reveal happens.
Right.
When Tommy Lee Jones comes out, and it's like, yee, this guy's a psycho. Right?
But it's a really cool fashion kind of movie.
Yeah.
But after that, after Assault on Precinct 13, his next big movie was a slasher film called Halloween. The greatest. I love this movie.
I love it too. And the thing is, okay, like honestly, I'm not just saying this. This is true. Halloween is probably the only movie in this type of, slasher genre, which, obviously this is an early one, that scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Like most of those slasher movies are not scary. Like they're just gross, and they're you feel a jump scare here and there.
Like the ones that are like Friday the 13th is a bad movie.
Yeah.
It's unwatchable, kind of, Yeah.
4 is good. Anyway, but sorry, Nightmare. I'm thinking Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh my god, I just watched number 4 last night.
Yeah, 4 is the best one, I think.
4 is really good.
Yeah. Anyway, but Halloween, the first one, it's a bona fide scary, gets into your gets under your skin, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Michael Myers character is unkillable, as they say, right? And
but not in an over-the-top way. You just start realizing that as the film progresses, that this is an evil that cannot be stopped.
It can't be stopped because it's sort of like, this is the other thing about Halloween. Halloween is, I think, the first movie that dealt with something, that he's a kid. As a kid, he's a psychopath. He kills his sister. He's got a sexual problem, very much like Psycho, the movie.
Yeah.
But then he returns, right? And so that's the concept of the return of the repressed, right? And so you think, well, what's he fighting? What's he killing there, right? Mm-hmm. And it's all in this, suburban, manicured, very whatever. But he's sort of like the return of some kind of concept, not an actual figure. He's a concept of, primal trauma or something, right? And
and that the teenagers are sexually, and this is of course part of the controversies around the whole idea that these kinds of slasher films only kill off sexually active teenagers, and then of course Jamie Lee Curtis's character, who's the quote unquote virgin, is the one who survives.
Yeah.
It's a bit regressive in a way, but I think to your point, it is the case of childhood sexuality, where at the beginning of the film, the young Michael Myers, who's 9 years old or something?
Yeah, like 8, 9 years old, something like that.
And he knows his sister's having sex upstairs, and then the boy leaves, and then he goes up, and she's naked, and then he stabs her.
Yeah, which I mean, the reading could be that, the Michael Myers as a boy is sexually attracted to his own sister, right? And therefore, in the same way that in Psycho, there's an incest theme, right?
Yeah.
And, it's what leads to the murders, right? It's like as soon as he starts to feel turned on, he has to destroy it, right?
He turns into his mother and destroys him.
Exactly. And I think, in this sense, the other thing about Halloween, more than the psychosexual dynamics, which are very well known, is how much it reminds me a lot of like the Foucauldian idea of the panopticon, like the constant surveillance state. Mm-hmm. Because Michael Myers, the one thing he does is he watches constantly, and not only is he watching, you never know when he's not watching. Yeah. Right. So this idea that there's a kind of constant presence of somebody watching your moves, is one of the most frightening ideas you can think of.
And that's a theme that also runs through a lot of Carpenter's films, is the idea of the stalker.
The
stalker, the authoritarian gaze and control over you. You're always being watched. Somebody's always watching you. Eyes of Laura Mars, which he wrote, is all about that.
That's again gets back to the anti-authoritarianism.
Correct.
Because the authority is always watching you. The surveillance. I mean, we're living that.
Yeah.
And like you don't know, like when you don't know where the threat's even coming from. It's a frightening existence. That's what the last half of that movie is all about. She knows that the guy's out there, but she doesn't know where he's going to strike, when he's going to come in, how he's getting in.
And what movie is the kid watching at the end of Halloween on TV? The Thing.
That's right. The original Howard Hawks, The Thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great movie, very deep.
Also worth talking about is, and this is one of the best things about Assault on Precinct 13 also, is John Carpenter's music. So John Carpenter scores most of his films.
Amazing scores.
And he is one of the greatest film composers in history.
Because they're very distinctly his. You can tell his music like right away, like the use of synths, and
which is very pioneering for the 70s.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, and it gave the films a kind of uncanny, weird quality, right?
And I mean, the score for Halloween is obviously iconic, but the score for Assault on Precinct 13 is amazing.
Yeah.
So great. I mean, Halloween was not the first slasher film. I mean, there was even a great holiday-themed slasher film out of Canada a few years earlier called Black Christmas.
Which I think was a bit of an influence on him.
It was an influence, for sure.
Yeah.
So he and Bob Clark, the director of Black Christmas, knew each other.
Yeah.
And John Carpenter asked Bob Clark conversationally, would you make a sequel to Black Christmas? I really liked it. And he goes, no, because why? But if I did, I would do one on Halloween.
Right.
And then John Carpenter thought about that. Yeah. But Bob Clark said later that he doesn't think like he gave him the idea.
No, but he was influenced by the movie. Yeah. I think you're right. And of course Psycho, like everybody was, right?
Yeah.
But but I also think like the interesting thing about Carpenter is that he he takes that that the idea nowadays that or for the past few years about the sort of I don't remember what they call it, but there's a term now for a kind of horror that's very elegant, Ari Aster type thing.
The elevated horror.
Elevated horror, that's it.
I fucking hate that term.
Yeah, but okay, when you're adding a little bit of Bergman or whatever into your movie.
Okay.
And I think to a certain extent Halloween starts that, because I think Halloween doesn't have the greasy kind of oily, I have to take a shower after this as Texas Chainsaw or I can't think of another one, but a lot of like movies, or I Spit on Your Grave, whatever. Yeah,
right. Last House on the Left.
Last House on the Left. Like they're really they're haptic in that sense. You can smell them, you can kind of feel them. They're gross, right? This one, Halloween is you can see this is a top tier director. It's
a very elegantly constructed film.
Yeah, it's got lots of beautiful
very efficient.
Moves and,
there's not a cut wasted. It's there's a feminist element to it because, we've seen films before in this, and again, Black Christmas is a bit like this too, where the final girl is, survives through however.
Yeah, the last girl.
But Jamie Lee Curtis, who of course is Janet Leigh's daughter, who was in Psycho, is such a great character. She's really strong, she's really smart, and she uses her wits to outwit the, Michael Myers until the end.
Yeah. That's true. So that's Halloween.
It's not, one more thing I'm going to mention. Yeah. This was, at the time, I'm going on the business side here, the biggest independent film. Like, this had a production budget of $300,000.
Wow.
And it grossed $70 million on its initial theatrical run. Forgetting about, the decade since.
What are we doing, Tom? Why do we write a shitty?
I know.
As a scrap.
I know.
Make it really high end and make $1 billion. But yeah, I mean.
Now you make a documentary for $70 million and hope that it grosses. 10.
Like the movie.
There was a doc. I don't know what it's called. Something about a woman.
The one that
First Lady, maybe.
Most dying to see in the theater.
You better hurry up.
That's it. Because I love movies made by rapists about rapists. I really like those kind of movies.
So
right?
you love Last House on the Left. That's
Yes,
your
I like
favorite
that
movie.
one.
Death Wish.
And I really like. I really am.
You
Of
do.
course, talking about Melania, obviously the greatest film ever made. Right.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, that's a horror film right there. But you know, yeah.
Okay, one thing about Melania, the best headline, I think it was The Guardian. They called it Glam Trash Remake of The Zone of Interest.
That's great.
Only the British can pull that off.
Yeah, that's perfect though.
Okay, there's a little segue there into another modern
the next
horror.
movie, which the next movie he made was one I didn't get a chance to rewatch. Is The Fog, which was a weird one to come after Halloween.
He actually made one in between.
Oh, he made the TV movie Elvis, right?
He made. Now this is really embarrassing that I, the biggest Elvis fan in the world,
Yes.
have never seen Elvis.
Oh.
I have never seen the John Carpenter
With
era,
Kurt Russell as Elvis,
I gotta rent it. Like
it's good. I remember seeing it when I was younger and thinking
It's a
it
big
was
hit.
good. Yeah, it was good. And yeah, but that one was a TV movie, so it's harder to find, right?
Yeah, I think I'd have to go to Bay Street Video and
Yeah,
dig it out of the basement
you
or
would
something. Yeah.
probably because I've never seen it on any streaming or anything,
No,
right?
no,
Stupid streaming.
it's the worst.
Yeah, they don't. I don't know. Like, are they letting algorithms choose their movies as well, or do they have people who actually select what movies they want? Like,
Depends on the streamer. I think a lot of streamers, total sidebar here, guys, but yeah, a lot of them are programmers who do like the actual work.
really? I mean, I think, yeah. I mean, I did hear
Like Crave for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I did hear this the other day. I can't remember where I heard it. Somewhere, either on. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But I heard somebody talking about. It was in the Atlantic. It was in an article. There was 2 articles in the Atlantic that were interesting. Sorry, this is another sidebar, but we'll get back to John Carpenter in just a moment. These film professors have wrote an article saying that they cannot get their film students to watch movies.
yeah,
So
because they're too long.
yeah, they're too long, and they're bored, you know. And the thing is, what in that article it was revealed that Netflix now has a policy that when somebody comes to them and they buy a product, either a movie or a series, they insist that every 10 minutes you update the script with exposition so that you explain what's going on, because they know that people are scrolling and that they're going to look up at some point and go, what's happening here? And they need somebody almost like a recap.
Could you imagine? Like if let's say we could go back in time. Excuse me, but David Lean, would you mind making these minor editorial changes to Lawrence of Arabia?
Yeah.
So every 10 minutes in your 3-hour movie, just get Lawrence to turn to the water boy and say, they're in the desert, the tribes.
So there are the Arabs, and then there's me. I'm British, but still I want to help those guys, and Ottoman Empire.
Yeah, and then Omar Sharif showed up. And shot the guy.
Yeah. So yeah,
wow.
But that's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
It's like people just don't watch movies that way, right? With that kind of focus and attention, right?
They make them so well.
And you're making it worse.
They know you're not watching the movie. You're doing something else.
You're doom scrolling. Yeah.
Yeah, you're doom scrolling, or you're ironing, or
masturbating
whatever.
And ironing.
I said whatever. Everyone knows what
I
whatever
use an
means.
iron. Just letting you know.
Oh boy. Well, that's for the other podcast.
Yeah, the iron.
Okay.
So now on to The Fog. Now, I don't have a lot to say about The Fog. I did see it in the theater when I was a kid, like when I was 15 or something.
Wow. Did you crap your pants?
A little bit.
Yeah.
It was
scary.
It's a bit scary, but it's a bit. It's scary on in the theater when you're watching it. It didn't stay with me. One of the reasons I thought it was a bit silly at the time was it seemed a bit like swashbuckling. It was a bunch of pirates and stuff, right? It was based on this idea that there were these ghost ships, basically, right? But this fog but the interesting thing about The Fog is that The Fog is almost like and I'd have to see it again to see whether I know you watched it recently.
I watched it a couple years ago.
So this is what I remember thinking, when I thought about it later, was that the fog itself is like it's an opposite obscuring feature. Like a fog is meant to obscure, but this fog actually, kind of brings back the past.
Generational trauma.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it reminds me of They Live that way, where you have to put on the glasses in order to see.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the fog. It actually doesn't obscure. It does obscure the immediate reality, but it brings with it this generational trauma, the past. Right.
So fun story. When I was a kid, so we were kids, me and my brother, in our pajamas, sitting there in front of the TV watching The Fog on TV. And it was a foggy day. It was a foggy night.
Ooh.
It was creepy. And we had a back deck that went outside our living room window. And my father, sadist that he is, snuck out the back door, went around the house to the back deck, and then as we were watching the movie, he banged on the glass like this. And my mom says to this day, we shot up about 2 feet in the air.
That's awesome.
It was pretty great. Yeah. No, I really like The Fog. The Fog is a good watch. It's a good B movie fun watch. The generational trauma issue, because what it is these ghost pirates are coming back to get the rest of their gold that was taken from them, and they all have leprosy, and they're all have like nails and hooks and swords, and they're cutting off heads and shit, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it's a good, thrilling, good fun. Carpenter wasn't happy with it. He ended up doing a lot of reshoots, and it was one of those.
It's a difficult metaphor.
It's not great. Yeah,
it's a difficult metaphor to work with. I like it. I mean,
Hal Holbrook's great.
Yeah, Holbrook. I like that the fog acts as a kind of collective dissociative state. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the town has sort of repressed its history, and the returning ghosts are like the return of that suppressed memory. Right?
Yeah, and it was another
sort of demanding a debt be paid in blood. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, and it was another huge hit. Even though Carpenter wasn't that happy with the film, on a $1 million budget, it grossed over $20 million.
Wow.
So this is all leading up to his continual success as an independent filmmaker, where these grosses are just bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And his next film, he still stays independent.
Yeah.
Which is Escape from New York.
Now this one is huge in my family, because me and my brother, Umer, we watched this movie 30 times maybe, and the thing is, we have lines from it.
You and every other
kid. I just love this movie. I know it's not considered like a great film, but I love it. I think it's really tight as an action work. It's got great world building.
Oh yeah,
the way New York
for no money.
It's just like alleyway. It's the talent of the director, right? He knows how to make a world out of this. The basic premise here is that New York has become has been walled off and become a carceral island, right, or society. So it's basically where you throw everybody.
It's a big prison.
Yeah, big prison.
No guards.
Exactly. So it's like this, and so what you've got is all these tribal underground groups, inhabiting New York, right? And they've now kidnapped the president, Donald Pleasance, and they're going to kill him if they don't meet their demands, right? And they send Snake, Kurt Russell's Snake Plissken, who's a great character, just very Clint Eastwoody, very quiet, very...
It's a great kind of, again, Hawksian anti-hero.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
Kind of amoral, like not
immoral, but...
Not immoral, but kind of like, it's sort of like moral relativism or something, right? But of course, this also is very Foucault panopticon, right? I mean, you have Manhattan is turned into a literal panopticon, where the state no longer rehabilitates, but simply discards those it deems other, right? And also, it's like you can see like everything is being watched 24/7 on this, this walled off area, and they also put, the movie. The smart move it does is that it gives it a DOA kind of plot where they inject Snake with a toxin that's going to kill him in 24 hours if he doesn't get the president out, right? So it's
it's never clear that they actually did.
Well, that's funny because in Escape from L.A. they do the same thing.
Okay.
But then they say that halfway through the movie, they go, that's not really real. So they deal.
I haven't seen Escape from
LA.
LA, so.
Escape from LA is an interesting movie because it's very much about Escape from New York.
Okay.
They deal with Escape from New York a lot. They talk about it,
Huh.
So anyway, but yeah, so Escape from New York I think is one of my favorites. I think the politics are typical, and good. I think they're interesting. It has that Western feel to it while being future. He's very much a futurist cowboy kind of thing, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. He could easily be a John Wayne type. And also, let's face it, a big part of the Western mythology of the film are the supporting cast. You've got Lee Van Cleef.
Lee Van Cleef.
Who's awesome.
Yeah.
Ernest Borgnine
Lee Van
from
Cleef,
Wild Bunch.
Who's like a staple of like spaghetti westerns and other westerns, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And Harry Dean Stanton is in it.
Harry Dean Stanton's in it. And, the big boobed Adrian Barbeau is in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I only said that for Tom's sake because he's a sexist pig. He was just talking to me about how much he loved Adrian Barbeau's breasts.
Thank you, AZ.
Well,
Sure.
Hey, I'm on your side.
Oh, thank you.
I'm on the side of Adrian Barbeau's
But the
breasts.
world building is great in it, as you said. But the world building isn't just because of John Carpenter. He used Roger Corman's special effects team. So Roger Corman, when he made Battle Beyond the Stars in 1980, he built a little low-budget special effects house to create all the effects. And one of the key people who worked for Roger Corman doing special effects was James Cameron. And so if you go on I have the 4K Escape from New York disc, and there's documentaries on there where you see James Cameron working on Escape from New York.
No fucking way.
Yeah,
I had
it's
no
so
idea.
cool.
Okay,
Yeah, he's doing this matte painting on the glass.
Oh,
and
wow.
all this stuff. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's cool.
It is a crazy cool stuff in that.
Yeah, I like the whole Snake Plissken is sort of the cynical hero, right? He's against the government, but he's also not with the criminals, right?
Even though he is a criminal, he's there because he robbed a bank and stuff. And,
Yeah.
And the disc has that deleted scene at the beginning of this robbery thing.
Oh.
It was kind of neat, but it's totally not.
Yeah,
doesn't
well, I
need to
mean,
be
I think-
there.
I
But it
think-
does show how there's a police state world that this lives in.
Yeah, that there's a power-hungry kind of quality, I think, impulses, in both the government and the criminals, right?
And one of the things I was thinking about while I was watching Escape from New York this time was, why does the President of the United States have a British accent? And then I started thinking, maybe the rules have changed. Like, is it true that like years and years ago when Schwarzenegger was governor of California, behind the scenes he was trying to change the rules so that he could run for president? I heard that. I don't know if that was true.
I don't know. I know that other people have tried.
And then I thought, what if, and this I'm kind of comes off of my watching this TV show called Alien Earth last year. What if that the world is now this technocracy where, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk's of the world run the place?
Yeah.
And what if the president of the United States was really like some tech bro,
Right.
who's from England?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he runs it.
Well, I like that. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah,
And that
I
makes
mean-
sense to all of the science fiction and all the whole Manhattan's a prison and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. It is great. And so that's Escape from New York.
And and one more thing.
Yeah.
A couple of numbers again. Super low budget movie, $6 million budget,
Wow.
$50 million at the box office.
Yeah. Huge movie.
Huge movie.
Yeah.
It was hugely influential. It was a big deal.
It's hugely influential. I watched it a couple of months ago when we first started talking about John Carpenter, and I was like, wow, for a movie I've seen this many times, and you could say like, this is silly or whatever. I still thought it was so great. I love the way it looks. It almost all takes place at night. I think all of it does. So it has that wonderful kind of like consistent tone, throughout the entire movie. There's not
music,
like and it's all sort of taking place within this one night, right? And I love movies like that, right?
And Isaac Hayes.
And Isaac Hayes as the king, yeah, exactly, as the king of New York, the Duke of New York.
The Duke.
You're the Duke, number one. You're the Duke, number one. All right.
Okay.
So that was 81.
Right.
So he's doing a movie a year kind of thing at this point.
Yeah.
82, I think you're going to tell us a lot about this, but this is his big switch to a larger film.
Yep.
Right?
So finally, Carpenter goes mainstream, kind of. He makes a studio picture for Universal.
Right.
Called The Thing.
Yes, The Thing.
Starring Kurt Russell.
Which is a brilliant film. I think it clearly is one of his best films. And it's also based on a Howard Hawks movie.
So The Thing is my personal favorite Carpenter film. I think it's a masterpiece. I will go on and say it is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. I love this movie so much. I watch it like once a year.
It's hard. It's okay, but let's be fair. It's a hard movie to watch. It's got some really scary things going on.
It is scary. It's
gross.
The time before last that I saw it in a theater. They were screening it at Cineplex or something. It is the ultimate body horror film.
Yeah.
So forget Cronenberg.
Yeah.
Forget him.
Yeah.
This is it.
This is the one that makes you kind of nauseous.
Yeah. You will. Yeah.
So this is a movie where basically it's a kind of like, similar to the, Red Scare kind of McCarthyism from the 50s.
Which is where the 50s film kind of was born out of.
That was what the 50s film, exactly. So the Howard Hawks film. But this one takes place in the Arctic North, right? In the polar. There's a group of scientists up there who are, basically stationed there. I can't remember what they're actually studying.
I don't even think it's
I think it's
clear.
A bit of a MacGuffin, yeah. But they know that there's
because about half of them don't act like scientists at all.
That's true. Well,
I think McCready, the Kurt Russell character, is just the helicopter pilot.
Right. So So
there's a cook. But anyway.
Yeah. So there's a lot about in this movie. There's a lot about the enemy sort of being indistinguishable, right, from the self or from the others in your community, right?
Right.
And it's sort of like the where the metaphor comes in is that you can't trust anybody anymore because they could be inhabited by this thing, right? Which changes them and makes them into these mutants, right? That's the metaphor of the McCarthyism or Trumpism or whatever you want to call it. Anything that seems to be brainwashing or taking over the other people there, right? And in this one especially, there's that concept of like the body horror, like the abjectness, of like how gross the mutations are, right? It's like there's kind of a non-human boundary, and then there's also a kind of a self and other boundary that's all kind of merged together, like a dog and a person, or an animal.
It takes over animals too.
Yeah.
So if you're squeamish about seeing animals get hurt, you're not going to last 5 minutes in this movie.
No.
So
yeah, but it's a great movie, and
it's really great. We talked a little bit about how he's so influenced by Howard Hawks. Worth noting, Howard Hawks didn't direct The Thing movie. It was directed by a guy named Christian Nyby, who was Howard Hawks' editor. He had edited Red River and a bunch of other films.
Right, but it was basically Howard Hawks' movie. He produced it.
Yeah. Nyby was asked a lot of times, who really directed the movie? And Nyby always said, look, I worked with Howard Hawks my whole life.
Right.
Yes, I'm influenced by him.
Right.
Okay, but I directed the movie.
Right.
He wasn't around directing the movie. It was me.
Right.
So, one of the Hawksian things that comes up with Carpenter a lot is the strong female characters in his films. And you're going to go, wait, The Thing doesn't have any female characters. Well, it has one. Voiced by Adrienne Barbeau, who's the chess computer at the beginning.
Right.
Who outwits Kurt Russell in chess. And Russell's response is to destroy the computer.
Right.
So, so here you have a movie where really the smartest person in the film probably is a woman.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, I never.
Which
really
is
made that.
one way I thought of it, but I'm stretching there. No, I mean it's a great movie. It's probably his most nihilistic film.
Yeah. Well, he's very nihilistic for sure.
He is. This one is a very controversial ending because there's nothing explained.
Yeah.
There's 2 people left alive.
Yeah.
One of them might be the Thing. Neither of them might be the Thing.
And they're kind of like already.
And they're already dead.
They're already talking about how they're going to basically go in there and die to try to destroy this thing.
Yeah,
right?
they know they have to blow up the entire place.
They have to die.
So
right?
spoiler alert there.
Yeah.
But a couple of things that make this different for Carpenter is one, it was a studio film, and it bombed. It bombed hard. and
That's
it got
interesting, eh?
shit reviews.
Yeah.
Like really bad.
Yeah.
And it lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
And Carpenter was crushed. So like critics who loved all his work were then trashing him, one called him a pornographer of violence.
It was because at that time
No one had seen anything like that.
When I saw it the first time, I literally had to look away. Of course, now that's nothing. But like that Demi Moore movie was similar.
The Substance. Yeah, exactly.
And but I remember at the time thinking, "Wow, this is too much." Like I remember thinking that. So this was like what 82, right? I remember seeing it. I didn't see it in the theater, but I saw it a few years later when it came on TV, and I remember thinking, I can't watch. This is too much. This is disgusting, right?
Yeah.
And I think that was the thing. It's like the way Roger Ebert got so upset about Blue Velvet,
right,
and said the movie was, deplorable and immoral and terrible and because he couldn't handle the fact that Isabella Rossellini was covered in cigarette burns, naked, walking around.
Ebert had a similar reaction to The Last House on the Left, where he also felt it was a completely immoral and disgusting and depraved film, and all of which is true. It is, it's an important movie.
Yeah.
But what's so he was devastated by and one of the reasons it bombed too was this was 1982. It opened the same summer as E.T. And so the prevailing, when it opened, Poltergeist was already in theaters.
Right.
It was number one again for the fourth week or something. So it was the summer of Spielberg. And then E.T. came out a couple weeks later or something.
Right.
So there was no way audiences were going to swallow this disgusting, nihilistic studio picture.
I think the fact that it comes out during the Reagan years is very telling. It's like, well, we don't have a stomach for this anymore because it's the Red Scare's over, basically, and we want this Spielberg light, feel good, aliens are our friends, and and I think,
and obviously the movie's against the conformity of the Reagan era.
Well, I think this is interesting. Like, whereas he could thrive in the 70s when there was a lot more, fighting back against oppression and government and stuff, which is still a holdover from the 60s, right? That only lasted until Reagan. Once Reagan and Thatcher and the other neolibs come in, that changes the entire landscape. And now a movie like War Games is going to be... I like War Games. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying that's the kind of sci-fi kind of thing you want to see, not where everybody's mutating
or sci-fi horror adjacent, like Weird Science or Ghostbusters or Explorers. Or
fun. Yeah, fun.
The
scary.
Thing is not a fun movie. Really.
No, it is not.
I mean, I think it's fun, but
it's fun, but it's scary.
It is really scary. One of the other cool things, this is a funny story if it's true, is that Carpenter did not do the score for The Thing. So he wanted his favorite composer, Ennio Morricone, to do the music. And he wanted that Morricone operatic touch.
Right.
Morricone doesn't speak English. There was some miscommunication. And also Morricone loves John Carpenter's music. So Morricone did a John Carpenter-ish music score because he thought that's what Carpenter wanted.
Interesting. Okay.
And so when Carpenter got it, he wasn't totally happy with it.
Right.
But he was like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I think Morricone's score for The Thing is absolutely outstanding. It is probably my favorite score of any Carpenter film. It's wild. It's electronic, but it's still got those Morricone operatic
I don't remember
levels.
the score that well for that one, but
when you get a chance, go on Spotify or whatever, and because it is pretty.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
I was going to mention I really like the score for Escape from New York too.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay,
but so The Thing didn't work.
So then he takes a couple of years off, and then he goes to the Stephen King, based on the Stephen King book Christine, which is
the only Stephen King thing he ever did.
I believe so. Maybe. Yeah, and it seems a little outside of his usual, but
he's directed for hire.
Yeah, still not a bad movie. Like, I mean, I remember seeing it when I was a kid, like when it came out, and it was watchable. I don't remember loving it, but
same.
it still has the same kind of stuff, like the whole concept of the love affair with the automobile. How it acts as a kind of prosthetic ego, for Arnie or whatever his name is, right? And
well, when I came out, I was in my full Stephen King obsession as a teenager.
Right.
I was reading everything, and I read Christine, and I saw every movie, and I remember in the 80s, It and Cujo were like the Stephen King movies I really liked. I like Cujo. Cujo's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's got great opening credits are great. And the opening credits of Christine, the whole credit sequence is a car being built on an assembly line.
Right.
And the song Bad to the Bone by George Thorogood is playing.
I remember that now.
And then at the end, when it says directed by John Carpenter, the car comes off the assembly line and crushes somebody to death. It's great. Anyway, there. Now I just gave it away.
Okay.
So and then after Christine, he did another great movie.
Yeah, so this one is really, it's really outside the usual Carpenter oeuvre. This one is, I think, feels like an answer to something like E.T. It's called Starman, 1984. And I find this movie beautiful, actually.
Yeah,
and,
it is.
Because it's basically Jeff Bridges, one of the best, I think, performances of an alien, in quotes, who knows, I don't know. But, it's like a very innocent, infantile kind of character, right? And the main character, the woman, Karen Allen, exactly. She's basically just mourning the death of her husband. And this alien takes over. It reminds me of that Black Mirror episode too, which is the same thing where they clone the dead husband, right? And in this one, the alien finds the first, I guess, DNA it can find, and it's her husband, right? And so it basically he looks exactly like her husband.
Kind of riffs off of the Thing a little bit there.
It does. It's a lot about that kind of concept of identities being swapped, right? So she gets him back, her husband back, but it's not him. It's this alien, and this alien is blank in a certain sense, right? A kind of like he talks like that, whatever, and just very, very like innocent and all that kind of stuff. What I like is that, it's a subversion in a way of this sort of invader trope. Here the alien is the most human character because of his curiosity and his gentleness, and one of the beautiful scenes in Starman, because basically she has to get him back to he's lost. He's a lost alien kind of character, and he has to get back to his meeting place in the woods or whatever, right?
That was very E.T.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's like an answer to E.T. in a way, right? But it's like, again, here the alien is the most human character, highlighting the xenophobia and cruelty of the American military complex, right? The most beautiful scene for me is when they go to a diner, and they have a hunter there who parks his truck right next to them with a dead deer, freshly shot deer on tied to the front of his car, and then the Jeff Bridges alien character keeps trying to touch it, and the guy's like, "Get the fuck away from my car," whatever, right? Yeah. And they go into the cafe, they have lunch, and then she goes to the bathroom or whatever, and then she comes back and he's not sitting there, and she looks out the window and he's touching the deer, and the deer comes back to life.
Wow.
And runs off, right? And it's such a beautiful scene that he couldn't let it go, right? Like just because the guy was threatening him, whatever. But it shows that, like, you're sitting there eating while you have this like dead animal that you went and killed for sport, and that his immediate reaction is to save that animal, right? So it's really a fascinating.
That's a very anti-consumerist perspective for sure.
Oh yeah,
and I remember when
also allows her. So just
go
quickly,
ahead.
It also sort of, by taking on the husband's persona, it allows the Karen Allen character to process her grief, through a physical manifestation, right, of her loss, rather than being alone with it, So.
Yeah, this one I really did want to rewatch, and I didn't get a chance. But I remember as a teenager, I really loved it, and when I think about Starman, I mentioned earlier how Carpenter seems to, despite his outsider status, comes from a very direct line of classical Hollywood filmmaking.
Yeah.
And I often wonder if Carpenter had made more movies like Starman, more movies that fit into more of a dramatic or comedic or romantic kind of genre. I mean, he could have been some kind of like multi-Oscar winning director helming multi-million-dollar budgets.
I can definitely see that. He definitely
making the next like one battle after another or some shit.
I know when you watch Starman, you see that this is a guy who has incredible restraint as a director, to not necessarily go for the quick dopamine hits of like an action sequence just for its own sake, or murder and killing and gross outs and stuff like that,
or just turning on the tears in a manipulative Spielberg way.
Yeah,
or something.
it's a slow moving, not slow. I wouldn't call it slow at all. Actually, it's fine. Like, its pacing is good, but not much happens in Starman. It's basically these two characters, right? So that intimacy of those two characters, where one character is, certainly, is like a child, is like learning. It's very loving. Like, it's a lot about how empathy. Something that we need to think about these days a lot, since there's an anti-empathy movement out there, but empathy is a radical act, is sort of like the lesson that this alien is teaching us, right?
Maybe empathy is a theme that runs through Carpenter's films more than I would have thought of, because I was thinking just now about like The Thing, where to understand that the person you're with is actually human, there's a certain implied empathy there.
Right.
In Assault on Precinct 13, you've got these hardcore prisoners who are from this bus, these murderers and what have you, partnering with the cops to fight away these gangsters.
Right.
So they're all on each other's side.
Yes, that's a good point.
There's a great shot in Assault on Precinct 13 when the cop throws the shotgun, John Wayne style, to the one prisoner,
right,
so he can blast off the other guy.
Right.
Like, stuff like that is very much, I think that kind of might.
I think you're right. I think there's a kind of like, there's always this kind of like, yes, you're right. There's always the two sides of law, right? There's the law, sort of the police state, and then the lawlessness, right? Mm-hmm. And there's all these characters who are kind of acting in a particular way in reaction to the system. But then there's a group of people, and these are the real rebels, I think, for Carpenter, who are neither, on the police state side or the lawlessness side. They want the main thing that they want is to connect with other human is your shared humanity is everything, right? Yeah. If you don't have that, you've got these police states, you've got these draconian, inhumane policies, right? So
maybe that's the core characters in Escape from New York as well.
I think so.
Adrian Barbeau, Borgnine, Dean Stanton,
like Borgnine is obviously like a stumpy type character, and like a lovable, nice guy, right? So there's transactional stuff, and then there's the people who are real real rebels because they see things very clearly and they act on a human basis, right? Mm-hmm. Which is interesting, because I went to see Marty Supreme last night, and I thought that had a lot to do with it too, with Marty Supreme. But anyway, we'll talk about that in the next episode on our Oscars episode.
Oscar nomination episode.
Yeah. So anyway, Starman, if you can see it, I think it's out there. It's on Hollywood Suite here in Canada.
And Bridges got an Oscar nomination, maybe the only Oscar nomination a Carpenter film ever got. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah. Best actor. Yeah, I think he got a couple of Oscar nominations, but yeah. Okay, hey. So next we have Big Trouble in Little China.
Big Trouble in Little China.
So I had never seen Big Trouble in Little China when it came out. I just watched it recently, and I liked it. A lot of people hate this movie. They say it's a mess or whatever, but I liked it. Again, it's interesting. Like, people don't like sometimes that kind of style of. It seems a little ridiculous or absurd, the whole style of the film. But again, if you don't know exploitation films, if you don't know 60s underground films, if you don't know where this guy's coming from, he's coming at things from a very different perspective. He doesn't want to make, again, very elegant, large, Room with a View style movies. These are stories. These are stories, like they're actual storybook stories, right? They're not trying to be like realistic in the kind of like gritty realism of like a documentary or a verite, but they are trying to get to something about the absurdity of our way of living, right? So I think he does that purposefully.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid. I should have rewatched it, but I liked it.
It was
too.
a lot better
It's
than
a
I
lot of
thought it
fun.
was going to be.
It's a lot of fun.
It's also a Western, kind of trope, and this one has a lot of. It's not the best of his movies, but I still think it's a fine movie and it's enjoyable to watch.
Yeah,
that's the best thing I would say about that one. Let's move on to one I haven't seen, but I think you've seen it, so you can talk about it, which is Prince of Darkness.
Yeah, Prince of Darkness. So I guess we're around 1987 now. And Prince of Darkness is the second in John Carpenter's sort of very informal apocalypse trilogy, the first one being The Thing, which we talked about a few minutes ago. Prince of Darkness isn't quite as successful a film. It's much more... It's pretty gritty, low budget. It's basically a demon is coming from hell and trying to take over the earth. It's basically green slime in a cylinder or something in the basement of this crazy church, and Donald Pleasance is the priest who discovers it, and he enlists a bunch of astrophysics students. I know this sounds crazy, but to study it and try to figure out how do we contain it.
Right.
But what's cool about it is that once the slime starts getting out, it becomes, again, kind of like Precinct 13 or The Thing, this sort of self-contained like siege movie where they're trying to stop this evil from bursting out of the church in all these different ways. The biggest problem with the film, though, is that really there's so many... there's too many of these student characters running around who have no personalities.
Right.
Donald Pleasance is great as the priest, but ultimately, it just feels a lot of half-baked ideas that don't quite work.
Mm-hmm.
For me,
yeah, I've heard it's I've heard,
worth watching.
Yeah.
I know people who love this movie.
Yeah, I've heard it's good, but I've heard a lot of people say it's not quite. It doesn't work. So
well, the writing's not quite there. It doesn't feel like Carpenter's at his full throttle on this one. Although there's some there's one of the students is this jerk who keeps making kind of hitting on women all the time to the point of ridiculousness, and then when he's trying to get out, he's literally trapped in a closet by these two demon possessed people.
Right.
That was pretty clever. But like The Thing and like the third film in the trilogy, it has a very bleak nihilistic ending that's really well done. I think it's worth a watch.
Okay.
Yeah. It's worth a watch. It's an interesting movie. It just doesn't all work.
Yeah, I was trying to get to that one, but All right. Okay, so Prince of Darkness, 87. Okay, so now the next one. This one is 1988's They Live, which is a very interesting movie on many levels. Okay, first of all, its reputation, right? It has a reputation. I first heard of it in university when I was taking a totally Marxist guy, film course, and this was all about this, the Baudrillardian and all that. It was very Marxist, and he brought this movie up, and I remember at the time thinking isn't this a goofy movie? I don't remember at the time that it came out. I remember thinking well, this isn't supposed to be a good movie.
Dude, last week we watched Battle of Algiers. Now we're watching this.
Exactly. Yeah. And then it's the way he talked about it, I was like, holy shit, okay, I never thought of that, right? But it's become a kind of darling film, a kind of a cause celeb film, in the academic, especially the academic left, throughout academia in North America, and it's been boosted very high as a kind of great work because of the kinds of reads that people make on it. Now, I do think it's a great film. I love this film. I think it's great. I think it's undeniably great. But it's hard to say, what exactly, this movie is about, right? So like, what is he really trying to get at? I mean, I think that what academics see in it is that, so this is a movie with, first of all, the star of the movie is Roddy Piper, who's a wrestler, right? Big wrestler from back in the day. And, but he's got that kind of like almost Canadian, like, mullety kind of feel.
He's very Canadian.
He's very Canadian, exactly.
Even though he's not Canadian, but he's very Canadian.
Yes, he's Canadian as a
Bret
character.
Hart. Bret Hart was a big Canadian wrestler back then.
Exactly.
Remember?
Yeah.
What movie would that have been, I wonder? Anyway.
Yeah. So I guess the interesting thing about this movie is, so this is a movie, Roddy Piper is like this down and out guy, and he's sort of like almost homeless, basically, kind of a wanderer in LA. Of course, I love the way John Carpenter shoots LA.
Yeah.
It's like
totally.
It's like very, very non-LA. It's very like run down.
Same with Precinct 13.
Yeah. Like abandoned, very, very ugly. Like not aesthetically.
I think Prince of Darkness might have been LA too.
Yeah. I think he's a great LA director in that sense. His LA is his, right? Mm-hmm. You can really tell. And he's not going to just like line up beautiful, symmetrical shots like Wes Anderson or something, right? Yeah, that's not his thing. So, but this one is interesting because this guy who's the main character, he's basically living in this tent city with these other unhoused people. And there's a church across the street. And you keep hearing the singing and the choir and all that stuff coming out of it. But then he notices these people are coming and going and taking stuff out, and he gets suspicious. So he breaks into the church and he finds this box of. First of all, he sees that it's a tape that's playing. Yeah. So there are no church services going on. It's fake. And then he finds a box full of these sunglasses, and he's like, "What the fuck is this? Why are they boxed with these sunglasses?" And he doesn't think much about it, but then he puts them on. And then what these sunglasses do when you put them on is they reveal. To see the subtext of everything in the world. So when he's looking at a sign, a billboard that says "Take a vacation," he sees now obey or reproduce, all the subtextual orders that are being given to you, how to live through advertisement and various other things in society. And so when you put them on, you see it. When you take them off, it looks like regular reality.
But what else do you see when you put on the sunglasses?
You also see these aliens. So, there's this. So the whole thing comes down to there are these figures which are really cool looking.
They are cool looking.
Yeah, they're cool looking. They're very scary, skeleton-y looking, but they're cool looking. They're well designed. These people who are these aliens who are doing this, right? And so, it's sort of like, I think it's like it's sort of like they're here to, they're trying to, harvest human beings, right?
But they're also the ruling class. So these are like the sort of, if you've seen One Battle After Another, they're like the Christmas Adventurers Club,
exactly.
basically,
yeah,
right? They're the 1% controlling the world, and so their subliminal messaging in the mainstream advertising that says obey or consume or reproduce is to mollify you into a mindless existence under their control. Yeah,
and even an impoverished existence.
Exactly. Yeah.
And like I think the idea that one of the best scenes in that movie is when Roddy Piper is trying to get that black actor, I can't remember his name. Keith David, exactly. He's trying to get Keith David to put the glasses on. He's a fellow homeless guy, and like they're in an alleyway, and he's just like, "I'm not putting no, fuck you," right? And they're fighting and they're beating each other.
10-minute fight scene.
It's a huge long
alley that never ends.
Yeah, and it's like he won't put the glasses, no matter what he does, he won't put them on, and it's interesting because that scene represents how people resist, how strongly they resist being kind of awakened to their own exploitation.
Yeah,
And so this is a very I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I really enjoy it as a movie. But it's also a very deep movie. It has a lot of interesting critiques about I think it's not an accident that I think I read somewhere that this was his direct response to Reaganism.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He was very clear about that. This is a very anti-Reagan film.
Yeah.
100%. And its legacy is probably greater than any other Carpenter film today. I mean, we all see there's so many memes with this imagery from They Live.
Yeah.
And Shepard Fairey, the political artist who did a lot of like Obama campaign posters and stuff, he was explicitly influenced by They Live.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. 100%.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same font and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that kind of graphic, you've seen this graphic a million times, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the obey.
And even that alien look with the sunglasses and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So, no, I think it's a really good movie. I know this is nitpicking, but I think my problem is Roddy Piper is terrible in the movie. He looks great. He looks right. But he's just not a good. He's got a couple of good lines, like what is it like? I'm here to like kick ass and chew gum, and I'm all out of chewing gum or something.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I understand what you mean, but it doesn't.
Keith David's great.
It doesn't ruin it for me that Roddy
doesn't
Piper,
ruin the movie.
Yeah, because even he's not important enough. We don't need to see an emotional range from him. He's just there as a kind of main character to kind of like find things out and like explore them
for the audience. But and you're right about the fight scene. So the fight scene, the inspiration for Carpenter for that fight scene was the fight scene in The Quiet Man.
Oh yeah, that's a great fight
which is the best fight scene in cinema history. I mean,
great
it's
movie.
Like 20 minutes.
Love The Quiet Man.
It's so great.
Much. Yeah.
I used to watch that every St. Patrick's
John
Day.
Ford movie, The Quiet Man. Again, a movie outside of his usual Western
That's
tropes.
True. Yeah. No, but yeah, the politics and the visuals and everything about They Live is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely would suggest to anybody out there who hasn't seen it, definitely watch it. It's a lot of fun, and it's very smart. Next, we have 19. I guess he took a few years off. I guess this one really bombed, didn't it?
We start getting into the films I haven't seen that much because they really...
Yeah, I haven't seen them either. Like, I think he was hired for Memoirs of an Invisible Man.
Chevy Chase?
Chevy Chase,
okay,
yeah.
forget it,
which I think I tried to watch and I couldn't get through it.
Wow, that's a lot for you to not get through a movie.
It is. Since
You'll watch anything.
I will. I'll watch anything as long as there's M&Ms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
And
like somebody like, rubbing some kind of oils on my bits that feel good.
I can't help you there.
Okay, so the next one.
I didn't see Village of the Damned.
I saw it with Christopher Reeve.
I don't know.
The remake of Village of the Damned.
For sure. The first one's great.
The first one is amazing.
Creepy.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Yeah, no, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen the whole thing, but I suspect it's not good. I don't know. I can't say, but
who knows?
The next one he did after those is he did In the Mouth of Madness in 1994. Now, In the Mouth of Madness, I love. I think it's a great film. I think you talk about a mindfuck movie. This is it, right?
It's kind of outside his wheelhouse a lot because it is so visually way out there. Like his films tend to be, as conceptually there could be a lot of crazy things going on, but they're pretty grounded in reality. But this one,
I think so. I think you're right. I mean, I think there are elements in this one that have been in all of his, but
sure,
it's almost like he goes. This is almost like his 8.5. Almost, it's very self-referential about creating art, being a filmmaker, like all that kind of stuff. Like it's about the artist, because it's really about the power of this fiction. Like, so what's the story? It's like a guy who's like a writer, right? What's his name? Sam Neill.
No, Sam Neill's the insurance guy.
He's the insurance guy. But there's
this like big Stephen King like horror writer, played by Jürgen Prochnow.
That becomes something that if you believe in it, it becomes real, right?
Yeah, you read the book, you go crazy.
Yeah,
and it's real for you.
Yeah, and then sort of like the character in the book, the main guy, Sam Neill, he gets, he realizes that he's like a character in the book, right? Mm-hmm. That represents the total,
because he's hired to find the author who's vanished.
Exactly.
And then he ends up going to this town. That's the town in the book, but the town doesn't really exist, but it's in the book.
Right.
and then he's falling into this rabbit hole of all these strange characters out of the novel that don't exist in reality.
It's
but they're coming from a different plane of existence.
Exactly. Like there's the metaphor for me here is it sort of suggests that popular culture, sort of doesn't just reflect reality, it constructs it, right? So if enough people believe in a nightmare, the nightmare becomes real. Hello, 2026.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, that's what makes it so great. Like, I really like this film, too. And this is the third film in the trilogy, Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy. And it, too, ends on an extremely nihilistic, probably even more nihilistic than the other two films.
Right.
And at the time, again, you had authors like Stephen King and stuff who were like, every book was a bestseller and everything was like huge, and and this is true to this day, where you've got authors like George R.R. Martin or the Harry Potter books, or even Stephen King still.
Yeah. Last
year, 2025, were like a billion Stephen King things that all made gobs of money.
Yeah.
So this guy's not going away.
No.
And but also, I think, to your point, it is not just about how people's obsession with popular cultural figures can overtake their lives, but how media can construct an alternate reality for us. And as you say, this is in the era of like Fox News, this is 100%, again, Carpenter reacting against the tide at the mainstream mainstream
the
culture.
Dominant voice,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
The one that controls. So reality is sort of like he's saying. Reality is revealed here as a fragile script, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of like it's not the etched in stone tablets from God anymore, right?
And it's a
madman, like the guy Sutter Kane or whatever. He's the writer. And he's mad. He's psychotic, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what they talk about. This is a madman who's writing this stuff, right?
Yeah, But visually, like for such a low-budget indie film, it looks fantastic. The effects are way out.
And they're fucked up. Like he's
out
watching
of nowhere.
He's in the theater watching it, and in the mouth
it's
of madness.
So meta.
Yeah, it's so it's so meta.
It's very Lovecraft.
It's very Lovecraft.
It's wild. It's a really good film.
It's a really strong.
And he's
film.
great. Sam Neill is like when Sam Neill plays unhinged, like he's kind of almost like possession level in this movie.
Almost, yeah.
Almost. It's great.
Yeah. It is a great one. I think it's one of my all-time.
They're doing a remake of Possession.
No.
I know. I just ruined your day.
That is terrible.
It is terrible.
I just embarrassed.
It is embarrassing.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway,
who's gonna do that? Anyway, who's gonna do Isabella Johnny's part?
I can tell you that, but I don't want to make you feel sadder. Okay. We're not
just tell me, goddammit.
Margaret Qualley.
Oh no.
Blame the substance. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway,
1996, he does Escape from L.A., which is kind of like a.
So I haven't seen that. You saw it.
I did, and I liked it. I thought, I've read a lot of bad reviews about it because people, I think, what they do is they go like, "Well, it's not better than you." Okay, Escape from New York is better for sure, but what I liked about this one is it's first of all it takes place in L.A., so there's a lot more about L.A.
Right?
Like the sort of artificiality of Hollywood, and so this is sort of almost like a remake rather than a sequel. Right, because they deal so much with the same content from Escape from New York, and they talk about Escape from New York in Escape from LA, which is also very meta, right?
Right.
And I think he was making the point about sequelitis in the movie, the nature of sort of commercial cinema, and the plastic nature of West Coast content.
Yeah, like all of his films, this Escape from LA has its own big fan base too. I mean, even the minor Carpenter films that get forgotten or are panned upon release or critically bombed or whatever.
Yeah,
people love years later.
I think
every time.
I think that's kind of I get it because again, when an artist is this consistent on thematics, right? They're sort of like something to find in all of their work that kind of sort of like is because he's an anti-authoritarian in the sense that he's also anti-authoritarian towards the studio system.
Yep.
So everything he does is kind of like a fuck you to the system, right? Which is why he never could, like you were saying before, he could have been like a, like a Sam Raimi, right?
Sure.
Who went from like, low budget, excellent horror films to like, top level.
Yeah. Or James Cameron.
Yeah, or James Cameron.
Terminator and shit too.
Yeah. There's no Titanic in John Carpenter's world.
No,
right?
he never swallowed the blue pill or whatever you want to call it.
But like I like Escape from LA because you have to start looking at an artist's work this way. You have to see what is he commenting on from his past work, and I think the fact that it's a remake rather than a sequel is interesting, right? Mm-hmm. It's sort of like just transporting. It says a lot more about LA and New York too, right? Like these two different. Right. Iconic cities or states in America, right? So definitely, I would say it's a lot better than I thought.
Okay,
and
I'll have to check it out.
I think that's basically it. The last one he did was a movie which neither of us have seen, The Ward.
Yeah,
which I heard is terrible, but I'm going to watch it at some point.
Okay,
and then you
can tell me.
There were also Vampires with James Woods, that piece of shit Trump supporter.
Yeah,
but. Fine, he's a good actor. I'm sorry to have to admit that.
I love James Woods.
Yeah, as an actor, he's good, but as a human being, he's
as a human being, he's garbage.
Garbage, yeah.
But he's still James Woods.
Oh, I hate him. Anyway, and then there was one called Ghosts of Mars, which I did see, and I couldn't even get through it. It was really bad. Like there was nothing to pick up on in that.
James Woods criticized Trump on one thing.
What?
On Trump's trashing Rob Reiner after his death. James Woods said, okay.
Wow.
James Woods said, okay, Mr. Trump, you have finally gone too far.
Wow.
So there you go. That's what it takes.
And then the next day he was still kissing his ass.
Oh, of course.
And licking his nuts every day. But anyway. So that's basically John Carpenter. If I was going to sum up my feelings about John Carpenter, he's one of my favorite filmmakers.
Yeah,
actually.
Me too.
I've always liked his style, his approach. He's very politically, rigorous in a way that's, not shoving it down your throat, though, right? He inhabits the kind of spirit of filmmaking that is really kind of lost at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like just a kid wanting to make a movie with his friends. And then making that into a career.
He's a true maverick. And we don't get those anymore.
No.
And I'm a huge fan of John Carpenter too. And of course, I have an affinity for horror films. And he's one of the most iconic, most important horror filmmakers in history, and always will be. But even his non-horror films, although they often have horror elements, I think for me, on point, on theme, style, he is uncompromising.
Yeah, he never, even when he's got a big budget. He's still got that sort of low budget quality, which I don't say in any kind of disparaging way, because again, it's like when people, this reminds me a lot of when people say, like a movie like, what's that? Okay, let's just say, Killers of the Flower Moon, 3.5 hour movie or whatever. I don't like it when people out there say things like, it's slow. It's like, okay, is that a criticism though? Like, why is slow bad, right? It's like in this hyper attention economy kind of thing, you like slow is considered bad. It's like, but don't you understand that some things need to be play out slowly? That's the rhythm. That's the pacing, right? And people don't understand that there's no inherent value judgment in fast or slow.
No.
But they make one anyway. It's slow. It's boring.
The world's not a giant Yelp review. Like, we can't just all look at look at things and go, well, this is what I liked and this is what I did. Like a film has its on its merits and on what it's trying to say.
It's got a point of view, right?
Whether it's quote unquote good or quote unquote bad, it's like, what is the film saying?
But if your concept is it's slow, therefore it's bad, that's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Like, that is absolutely stupid, right?
Yeah.
You can't say that it's slow, therefore it's bad. Like some of the greatest films of all time, Gene Dillman, anyone?
Yeah.
Is slow.
Yeah.
But slow doesn't mean boring. Slow means that you have to adjust yourself to the pace of this thing. Somebody is presenting you something. It's like somebody brings a dish to your table, a chef, and you keep saying, can you put some ketchup on there? You know, like a vulgar, you know, North American. You know, it's like, no, you go, you eat the chef's food. He or she is presenting that to you.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't like it, find out why you don't like it. If you go like, ew, that's a new flavor. It's like, okay, is that bad or good? Right? Yeah. It's neither. It's up to you.
Yeah. I mean, we've all seen 90-minute movies that feel like they're 4 hours long, and we've all seen 3.5-hour movies that feel like they're 90 minutes long.
Yeah, like Marty Supreme was like 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
and
it zipped by.
It was like, it's so kinetic.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, like this doesn't feel like minutes.
We should save that conversation for our next episode.
Yes, indeed.
And ladies and gents, our next episode is going to be about some of the Oscar-nominated films and what we think about all that hullabaloo.
Yeah, ladies and germs, I think you should say.
Ladies and germs.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, on that note, I guess, you know, we just say, like, you know, Dark's, what was I going to say? They Live. Mm-hmm. These are the ones I want to rewatch, or that I haven't seen. I've seen They Live, but I want to watch it again.
Yeah. The
Prince of Darkness I need to see. Elvis TV movie I'd love to see again.
Yeah, me too.
And The Fog. I'm going to watch those ones.
I want to rewatch Dark Star. I want to see Elvis. I want to rewatch Big Trouble and Starman.
Okay, so I suggest anybody if there's anybody out there who's listening to us, is there anybody out there? I would love to hear what you guys think. What do you like about what John Carpenter movies do you like, and what don't you like? I'm interested in that because looking at Carpenter, I think he's even though he's a big filmmaker, he's not considered as serious as somebody like Scorsese, right?
No.
And I think he is as serious as somebody like Scorsese. As an artist, I'm not saying his movies are as important in quotes, right? Yeah. But it's important for people to kind of like share those ideas, I think, as well. Like just whether you agree with what we're saying, whether you think we're looking for more input from our audience. We're bored of ourselves. Yeah. So just talk to us, Talk to us, buddy.
I'm really bored of Azed. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
But what else? What else am I going to say? And I will see you out there in the dark.
Do you like coffee with cream or milk? Like, I can't decide. Also, do you like it in a cup or a mug? There you go. Okay.
All right.
I'll see you out there in the dark, you creepy mugger.
Bye.
Bye.